I want to share a story with you today. But this is not just one person's story. This is the story of many. It's the story of a barefoot 6-year-old girl digging through a trash can, the story of a tiny boy begging for his meal on a street corner, or the story of a brother and sister huddled together, sleeping in a dump. I know I'm not the first person to tell you about the orphan crisis, but today I want to challenge you to look at this issue from a fresh perspective, to see it differently, and most importantly, to take action and do something about it. This might be your 10th, 20th, or even 100th round of judging persuasive, and after a while, I'm guessing the speeches all start kind of blending together and sounding the same. But today I challenge you to pry them apart, to see human suffering and hope again through new eyes. So many times we think of the orphan crisis as something too big to do anything about and too far away to reach. Neither is true. Today, we'll look at how this is an issue in our own backyards. We'll see the crippling and far-reaching consequences, and we'll see how we can make a difference. In the world today, according to Orphan Hope International's 2014 report, there are a staggering 163 million orphans. But is this really just a third world problem? So many times we envision destitute children in places like Thailand, Liberia, or Cambodia. We like to think it can't happen here because this is America. But the statistics and stories paint a very different picture. According to the Administration for Children and Families' annual report, the truly haunting reality is that over 20,000 teens age out of America's dysfunctional foster care system every year, with no family to belong to and no place to call home. And though these statistics are staggering, the stories are heartbreaking, because according to the same source, if these kids end up aging out of foster care, they are incredibly likely to end up homeless, unemployed, in prostitution, or in prison. That is if they don't commit suicide. And the sheer number of orphans in the world is gripping. But the number is not just the size of the problem, it's actually part of the cause of the problem. You see, numbers are numbing. When we hear statistics, we're often quick to feel compassion but slow to take action. As Doug Sauter, author of The One Factor, said, when we hear these overwhelming numbers, we are paralyzed before we take a step. We assume that one person just can't make an impact big enough to warrant the effort, so we do nothing. And meanwhile, more and more families or children are in need of loving families. For a moment, let's take a look at this picture of a boy named Khan from the Oregon Heart Gallery. He's 11 years old. He loves music and sports, and he enjoys learning. He's friendly, and he loves giving hugs. And right now, he is available for adoption. He's been in the foster care system his entire life and can't remember ever having a family of his own. He's not just another number. He's a life. He's a person just like you. So why aren't we taking action? Well, I don't know about you, but I struggle with selfish indifference. Sometimes the fact is we carry an indifference to his life. We think he's not affecting us. He's not in our backyard. He's someone else's issue, and so we set him aside and don't look. But the fact is we must face the reality that these kids have no hope except through people like us. See, the weak and vulnerable can be rescued through you. As John Lewis once said, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? We can't stand on the sidelines any longer. It's not enough to know the statistics and feel sorry about them. I am willing to stand up and fight for these little ones. Are you? If you are, there are 4 things that you can give to make a difference. Your voice, your time, your resources, and your heart. Let's take a look at the first one. How can you use your voice? You are an advocate. An advocate is someone who pleads the cause of another, one who speaks for those without a voice. And as members of the forensics community, we're uniquely qualified with the ability to speak effectively, which means we carry an even greater responsibility to speak up for those who cannot. The fact is, there are so many different ways that you can use your voice to make an impact. Just as I carry with me this small photo of Dakan, I challenge you to carry with you a photograph of a waiting child in your wallet. Then show this picture to your friends and ask if they or someone else they know would consider giving this child a home. 2 years ago, my friend's family adopted some girls from the foster care system, and it all started by seeing a picture of a girl named Skylar. As my friend Michaela explained, we never even considered adoption before. It was never part of our plan, and the issue seemed so distant. But one day when we were forced to stop and take a look at a photo of a little girl, our entire perspective changed. We realized that, why not us? And we ended up choosing adoption, the best decision we've ever made. Another thing that you can do to use your voice is to educate others. I really don't want my speech to end here in this room today. I want to challenge you to take it with you and then share with others what you've learned to motivate them to take action. The second thing that you can give is your time. What I challenge you to do is, do you know someone who's adopting? Well, then offer to throw a shower for them and support them throughout the process. Or do you want to reach out in love to orphans and foster kids? Then you can consider visiting an orphanage in another country, volunteering at a local pregnancy support center, or becoming a social worker for foster care kids. You can even choose to provide critical transitional support to a child who is aging out of foster care. I think you'll be surprised by the huge impact that you can make in people's lives by just investing a little time. The third thing that you can give is your resources. Call up your local foster care office and ask them what their needs are and how you can help. Or consider sponsoring an orphan. My own family sponsors a boy named Gin Alfredo Sanabol from the Dominican Republic. And he has become like a part of our extended family as we've stayed connected through letter writing. But the fact is, you can do this too. According to Compassion International, a tax-deductible donation of $38 a month allows a child to receive food, medical care, shelter, and an education. Are you willing to give up just a few extra cups of coffee to literally save a child's life? You have the power to give them a future and a hope. The final thing that you can give is your heart. And one of the biggest ways to do this is to adopt. Now, certainly not everyone can or even should adopt, but I encourage you today to seriously consider whether or not you could take that step. Adoption changed my world, remarked Toya, a friend of mine who was adopted as a child. My adoptive parents gave me more than just a home and a family, she said. They gave me a life. Today, we've seen the problem that we're facing and the consequences of our apathy, but we've also seen that we can make a difference. When we leave this room, let's take action and give of our voices, time, resources, and hearts to make a difference. The fact is, at the end of this tournament, 39 speech competitors will go home with first, second, or third place trophies, but in just the time that I have been speaking, another 40 children have been orphaned. The fact is, you can't save them all, but you can save some. As Edmund Burke once said, no one makes a greater mistake than he who does nothing because he knows he cannot do everything. You are only one person, but each of these children is also only one person. Each child has a face, a story, a need to belong and to be loved. Whether or not you can help all of them is not the issue. This is the question. Will you help the ones within your reach?